Morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. September 14th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Cybersecurity Task Force to order. Shreen, can you take the roll, please?
Sure can. Tim Robb,
Here.
Bob Denhart,
Here.
Frank Abella, Dr. Marilyn Delmont,
She'll be here shortly.
thank you. Paul Embley, David Fogerson, Sanford Graves, Tim Horgan,
Here.
Jeffrey Lewis, Martin Mueller,
Here.
thank you, Martin. Akeem Patel,
Here.
Brandon Peterson,
Here.
General D. Roger Waters,
Good morning, everybody. Here.
Sandy Ruballad,
Here.
Billy Samuels. I saw you, Billy. Where'd you go? I can't hear you. I see your hands up in the air. Here. James Wood,
Here.
are there any members that came on after I did the roll call?
Yes,
And-
Marilyn Delmont for the record.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Melvin Chapman with Business Continuity Technologies.
Just voting members, please. Thank you. You have quorums.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here today. We will move into our agenda item number 2, public comment. No action may be taken under a matter raised under this item until it has been agendized itself. And I will read in the dial-in information. You can call 1-669-219-2599. And when prompted for a meeting ID, 686-738-8625, and then press pound. And then to make public comment, press *6. Is there anybody in the room at DEM that would like to make public comment?
Tim, this is Shreen Whipple for the record. No one here has public comment, and there is also no written comment.
Awesome. Thank you, Shereen. We'll give the YouTube a couple minutes or a couple seconds to catch up to reading the call-in information. I don't know that we've had anybody on the phone come off of mute, but if you are on the phone and would like to make public comment, press *6.
Sam, this is Billy. Can you hear me?
Sure can, Billy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to make public comment? With that, I think we've given enough time on the YouTube to catch up. So I think we can close out agenda item number 2 and head to agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. And I believe there is one edit that we need to make on the edit or on the minutes, and it's the date at the very beginning. I think we met on July 31st of 2023 instead of June. So I think that's the only edit I see. Is there any members of the task force that have any edits on the meeting minutes from the previous meeting?
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
don't have any edits, but I was not here, so I will abstain from approving the prior minutes.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any edits to the meeting minutes? I'd entertain a motion for pass.
Second. Bob Denhart, so move.
Awesome. And I'll take Akeen as the second. I think we can go into a vote. All those in favor of passage of the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? and abstentions? Okay, I think we can move on to agenda item number 4, the overview of the federal fiscal year 2023 state and local cybersecurity grant program project. Amanda, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Tim. Amanda Jackson for the record. So the federal fiscal year 2023 state and local cybersecurity grant program notice of funding opportunity, or the NOFO, was released on August 7th, 2023. Nevada will receive $5,072,822 for fiscal year 2023. The focus of fiscal year 2022 was Objective 1, which is developing and establishing governance structures and plans. And fiscal year 2023 applications are required to focus on Objectives 2 through 4, which is understanding cybersecurity posture, implementing security protections, and ensuring organization personnel are trained to recognize cybersecurity risks and respond to cybersecurity attacks. Fiscal year 2023 also has a 20% cost share as opposed to the 10% cost share, which was required for 2022. Release of the 2023 NOFO extended the deadline for the state to submit our application, which allowed us to extend the rest of our deadlines, as you can see on the timeline from the strike-throughs. The previous deadline for submission of the state's 2023 SLCGP application was September 12th, but with the release of the 2023 NOFO, that deadline was updated to October 6th. The original deadline for submission of fiscal year 23 subrecipient applications was August 18th, but since the submission deadline was extended, the application deadline for subrecipients was able to be extended till August 31st. And I do want to formally thank the task force for your flexibility in rescheduling this meeting. It allowed us to accommodate the extension of the subrecipient application period, which allowed us to be the best stewards of the funding as possible. Most of our applications did come in during the extension period between August 18th and August 31st. So that really made a difference in the number of projects that you have to rank and vote on today. Between July 25th and August 14th, we conducted 4 of our traditional technical assistance sessions, 3 technical assistance sessions specifically for rural partners, and several one-on-one sessions for organizations who were not able to attend the scheduled webinars. Greater outreach did result in greater subrecipient responses. We'll be able to see when we get to the ranking and voting. Being that we still had fiscal year 2022 funding to allocate after the last round of ranking and voting, 2022 and 2023 applications were open at the same time. Some subrecipients expressed interest in applying for 2023 only if a 2022 project was not approved. So it was communicated via Zoom grants, emails, and listserv bulletins that applicants could submit for the remaining 2022 funding, and then also submit a contingent application for 2023. And you'll see on the allocation sheets for today's meeting that it does indicate the existence of a contingent application when applicable. After the 2023 projects are selected, grant staff will complete the investment justification and project worksheet documents, and then submit the state application to FEMA before the submission deadline, which is, again, is October 6th. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you very much, Amanda, and thank you for all the hard work that you guys have put into making this happen for us. And happy to move a meeting to make sure that we can get as many folks to apply for the funding as possible. So appreciate all the work and appreciate the heads up on making sure the timelines matched up with what was possible and being able to get the most people in here. Is there any questions for Amanda before we move on to the next agenda item? Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I think we'll have you on for all kinds of fun here in the next little bit as well. But I think we could close out agenda item number 4 and move on to agenda item number 5, sorry, the additional federal fiscal year 2022 SLCGP and budget proposal presentations by those that applied. So I think with that, we can move into quick presentations, hopefully try to keep it to about 5 minutes per project or less. We would appreciate less too if you can make that happen, but 5 minutes if you can. And I think we will start with the city of Reno if we have a representative on.
Angela, do you want to talk about them? Oh.
Sorry, I'm having some computer issues. Are we just giving an overview of our requests?
Yes, please. Just by project, it looks like you guys have 3 of them on here. So if you wouldn't mind going through them quickly and ask any questions as the task force members may have, and then we can then in the next agenda item go through the ranking process.
Yeah, okay, so the first one that I'll start with is our switch replacement. We have almost more than 60, but 60 identified as being HP switches that are up to 18 years end of cell. And so this would help us the city has a little bit underfunded our infrastructure replacement plan. And so we are grossly behind replacing some of our outdated technology. So this just helps us kickstart that program and get us in line with a little bit more of an updated infrastructure with security features that we can enable. The second one would be the network and security assessment. This would be a company coming on site using their program to go through the network, find some of our holes that we have with regards to security. And I think we talked about how the network is not segmented very well. And so this would give us a report of where we need to prioritize securing our network, and then how we could segment the network a little bit better. I think we hit our firewalls, our wireless access points, and then all of our endpoints in the network with this one. The core router replacement, this one we have is again an end of life device that can no longer be updated. So we're in a situation where we don't have a good failover. If the core router dies, then our link to a lot of our applications out at Switch die along with it. And so this gives us redundancy, replaces the core router, gives us a redundant router, and then obviously build in all the new technology that comes with that. So we'll be able to secure our environment much better with this. Brantley, I don't know if you wanted to talk about the security pieces a little bit better.
Yeah, so they kind of, I guess, in a way, all go together. So I think the priority is to get the assessment done to see where segmentation should be happening, because there definitely is not much segmentation happening. And part of that is because we do host a lot of critical infrastructure. So obviously we do currently run the region-wide 911 CAD software for Washoe, Sparks, Reno, the 2 Indian tribes, UNRPD, and Reno Airport now as well. So we do a lot in that piece for 911, as well as we have wastewater treatment systems too for a portion of the region. So just having that assessment to see where all of our gaps are at, how to better re-architect the network. And then obviously kind of the lead on to that is getting equipment from this decade to hopefully implement some of the segmentation and best practices for the network. So that's kind of the building block for really anything security related, is starting with the network. So.
Awesome. Thank you both. And just as a reminder, when you start speaking, please state your name for the record, so it makes meeting minutes a little bit easier on the back end. Are there any members of the task force that have any questions for the City of Reno team? Billy, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Billy Samuels. I got a question. I agree with your guys' assessment that you definitely need to do that, and that would be like an allowable expense. But I guess I'm having a hard time understanding the core router replacement and the switch replacement. It sounds like that should be a capital purchase item that you guys should have been funding for the last 10 to 15 years. And if we're looking at this 911 call is coming through, can't you guys go through your PSAP? Isn't that what this is coming to assess?
With regards to funding, the city has a CIP fund. I've been in this position for a year for IT manager for infrastructure and operations. And I can tell you last year, that program was underfunded, and we used the money that we did have for failing servers. And then the year before that, we used the money for replacing the CAD system. We're calling it CAD rehost, and so we're actually, although we used funds from last year or the year before, we are just doing that now. And so we're replacing all the hardware in the CAD for
Yes, like
CAD
the
and
VM.
RMS.
Yeah, Brantley, for the record, yeah, the actual VMware hosts, those were going on, I don't know, what, 12, 14 years old?
Yeah.
This is Billy Sanders. I guess my question is, if with outdated material and trying to keep up with technology for this group, why would that not have been a itemized purchase or capital improvement that you guys would have done through your city?
We're attempting to do that. In this last year, I've created an infrastructure replacement plan, and I'm starting to ask our finance department for the correct funding. They've just underfunded it for so many years, and past directors have not prioritized that part of our infrastructure.
Nope, sounds good. Thank you. That actually is the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Any other members of the task force have questions for the City of Reno team? Awesome, thank you both. I think we can move on to the Clark County School District. Is there a representative from Clark County School District on to President?
Yes, my name is Carl Jones with Clark County School District. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. As you know, we're a very large school district with over 300 schools, 300,000 students. So what we're asking for is first a multi-factor authentication for 500 critical employees. And as Amanda referred to in the beginning, we're asking for this both on the 2022, and then if it's not approved on that, we're also asking it as a contingency on the 2023 grant. The MFA would be first for the 500 most critical employees. Then our second request would be to expand that to our 40,000 employees to increase our security and to utilize best practices for safeguarding our data. Then we have a network security ask. The network security is for additional firewalls. We are protected at the edge, but less so internally. And we want to, again, follow best practices for segmenting and protecting our critical data. We have data such as HIPAA for financial data, a lot of very critical data that needs to be protected. And then we also have, yes, incident response. So during our engagement with our VCSO, we have performed some incident response planning, creation of incident response plans, procedures, and playbooks, and we have done tabletop exercises. What came to light in that is that there are some gaps in that, as we're so big that we have some departments that are very, very critical to our infrastructure. For example, transportation. We are transporting a lot of children every day. We need to provide for them incident response tabletops planning so that if their systems are down, we can make sure that our children are taken care of. Our students are bused, appropriately, and so on and so forth. We're also asking for food services and some other non-centralized, non-central IT departments that we support.
Thank you very much. Is there any members of the task force that have any questions on the Clark?
Sorry,
go ahead.
One more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot the last one, and that is a security awareness training. We are asking for a program that will be a security awareness training environment that we can use to teach all levels of staff, from end users to the more technically involved, and it would include things like phishing campaigns, yearly mandatory training to replace what we have, which is aging, and we want to move to something that's more modern and something that can keep up with the changing environment as cybersecurity changes. And I think that's everything.
Thanks, sir. And I think that this might have been, I think you might have talked about the projects that are on both this year and the upcoming year's list. Is that
Oh,
correct?
that is correct. I'm
Okay.
sorry if I
No,
wasn't.
no problem at all.
I apologize.
No problem. Billy, go ahead.
Thanks, Billy Samuels. I'm glad you clarified because I was just scrolling trying to find the third project that CCSD just put in. I couldn't find it. Just to be clear, I want to make sure, who are those 500 critical employees that you guys, and why do you deem them the 500 critical, and why would they have the two-factor authentication prior? before
Sure.
anybody else?
Sure. These would be financial, these would be HR, keepers of HR data, executives, board of trustees, high-ranking members such as that of our administration.
Thank you for the clarification. I just couldn't find it in there.
No problem.
Thank you, Billy. James, go ahead.
Thank you, James Wood, for the record. So is the network segmented in a way that even if you add the 500 critical individuals for MFA, that you're not going to get cross-contaminated through other employees?
We're currently undergoing a network assessment, and we will be looking to implement some of their recommendations, but that's a work in progress.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, James. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, Brandon Peterson for the record. I think it's fairly clear to me that you would do the 500 before the 40,000, but if you had to pick a, the other security assessment, would you do the MFA or the incident response planning? What's your priority between those two?
Yeah, our priority would be the MFA, the multi-factor authentication. Due to the environment now, it is a very important and critical to me countermeasure that we need to stop, because we've seen incidents of individuals trying to call help desks and try to get passwords changed for individuals and so on and so forth. And this MFA would help enforce that a lot better than what we have now.
And then a follow on to the MFA, did you plan accordingly to support the rollout of a project with the, I think you might have a lot of follow-on support necessary to get that, properly done?
Yes, we did factor some of that in. It is obviously a big undertaking, and the reason, one of the reasons that we segmented it into two is to do a smaller, more critical one first, learn those lessons, those, develop those training materials, develop procedures, policies, all of that in a small setting first, and then we would be able to scale that up to our entire staff if possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the task force for the Clark County School District? Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I think we can move on to the Ely Shoshone tribe. Is there a member?
Yes, Melvin Chapman and Rick Huckinen with Business Continuity Technologies. We're going to be doing the project for them, and what they need funding for is we need a Windows server, and we're going to get them a .gov domain, and we're going to migrate all of their email to Office 365. So that's going to require licensing. That's going to require backup and archiving software, email spam protection, and the migration software itself. And in addition to that, we're going to need training for Office 365. So we will be providing that training for them. So that's what we need the funding for.
Thank you, sir. Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want this is Billy Samuels. I want it to be a standard that I have the first question asked after each project. A couple things that we need to talk about. We don't do M&A costs, Chair. I don't know. There's an M&A on here. I don't know if we're still doing that. I thought we were removing that from all of our projects. So one thing to talk about. The second thing, I don't think we're really able to, I understand Melvin BCT is probably a contractor already. We can't identify the person who we're going through in a grant. It still has to go out for bid. So I want to make sure that this hasn't already been either sole sourced or how this is working, but that this is a project that we should probably look at.
Absolutely. But it's not sole source.
Did they already go out to bid for you guys?
I don't know those details. I'm hoping they're on the call. That part I do not know.
Is there anybody from the East Shoshone tribe that might be able to answer that question?
Oh, man, this thing ain't working.
Oh, we can hear you.
There's
Oh,
Mike.
okay. Yeah, this is Michael Dalton with the East Shoshone tribe. We have not contracted it out. BCT has been working with the East Shoshone tribe on building their infrastructure for the last few years. As mentioned, we are going to do a migration to .gov. And right now we are starting to, the East Shoshone tribe is starting to build. And right now we do not have the capacity to implement this project. So this is why we have reached out to BCT to help assist with this. We have not contracted it out to them, this project, but if awarded, we will set up a procurement process for this.
This is Billy Samuels, Chair. I just think when it comes across, I maybe the reach out should be maybe towards DEM and the grant side, and they can walk them through this process, just so we don't have this confusion, because it appears that if this does get awarded to Melvin, that it was already pre-staged. I just want to make sure that we have clarity when it comes to our funding and our process. I think the project's good, and I think it's needed. The route to get there, I want to make sure that it's clear on our side.
I know, I appreciate it, Billy. Oh, go ahead and state your name for the record if you wouldn't mind.
Michael Dalton, East Shoshone tribe. I agree with you on that. We are going to follow the CFRs on this if awarded.
This is Marilyn Delmont for the record. Just for clarification, are you saying that is it BCT or the implementers, and you're going to go out and do an award for the product?
The East Shoshone tribe is the one that is implementing this project. This is a first-time application to the state. The East Shoshone tribe understands that we do have security issues and we do need to solve them up. And we saw this as an opportunity to create partnerships. We did reach out to BCT for guidance on how to build this infrastructure, but we have not told them they are awarded this project or they will be implementing this project. We went to them for guidance.
Okay, thank you.
Billy, does that help a little bit on clearing it? Okay. And I don't know if Amanda maybe has any input from the DEM side on whether or not we should proceed with that one or any concerns there.
So this was discussed, Amanda Jackson for the record. This was discussed between my supervisor and I, and it was made clear that they understand the bid process. If the project is funded, that there's going to be additional steps that have to be taken.
Awesome, I appreciate that. Any additional questions for this project?
Bob Denhart for the record. I'd just like to confirm, looking at the equipment costs, there's about $20,000 that is identified here as recurring costs. I just want to confirm that the tribe is aware of that and has worked that into their budget.
Yes, the East Shoshone tribe does have reoccurring costs. We will use our funding from multiple funding agencies to cover those costs.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions on this project? Awesome, hearing none, I think we can move on to the Humboldt County Emergency Management Team. Do we have anybody on from Humboldt County?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my video going. Yep, how's it going, guys? I'm Mike DiTullio from Humboldt County Technology Services. Our emergency manager, Carol Lynn, wasn't able to join today. She's out in the field. So I'll give you a brief history of the Humboldt County network. Humboldt County Technology Services manages not only the county IT, but also the Public Safety Communications Network, which includes our 911 PSAP. And we also have the TV district providing TV to the citizens of Humboldt County. I started approximately a year and a half ago, and our network was very flat. We had 2 internet connections, one at our courthouse and one at our dispatch center. And those firewalls were aging quite a bit. We had an old ASA pair as well as an old firepower pair. So what we ended up doing is we ended up moving a lot of our servers and other IT equipment from our courthouse. And we moved them over to our primary data center, which is our dispatch site, due to some power issues that we were having at the courthouse. We needed to get the power upgraded over there. So in the meantime, everything had been moved over to the primary data center. It was later determined that the courthouse could not be upgraded as far as power goes. I'm sorry about the background noise, truck going by. But our internet connection was left at the courthouse with the old firepower firewalls, and those being aging as they were, we decided that when we were looking into our disaster recovery project and the funding for that, we had purchased a new firewall pair, high availability firewall pair that ended up actually replacing our ASAs rather than the firepower devices. And that decision was made because we were actually able to replace the internet that was at the courthouse. We ended up canceling that, and we ended up getting a connection through Nevada System of Higher Ed, which provided us a much cheaper option. And we actually brought that internet into our disaster recovery site. So long story short, at that point in time, we had to split that new HA firewall pair that we had. And we took one of those firewalls, put it at our disaster recovery site, and kept one at our primary data center, which is our dispatch center. So obviously that would lead to a single point of failure for not only public safety communications, but anything else that traveled through that network, including our 911 PSAPs. So then we had a recent network assessment completed by PullPact, and there was a recommendation in there to get that HA pair set back up again. And to try to budget for new firewalls if we could for our DR site. So this last fiscal year that we are just going into right now, our commission decided to cut technology's budget 25%. And that ended up taking away that ability for that funding. When Carolyn told me about this grant, I was super excited, and I was like, wow, maybe we could actually get this done. So that's really what we're looking for, is an HA pair to go at that disaster recovery site, so that we can provide not only primary internet edge security for the courthouse traffic, which would include, the tunnel to EATS for elections and AOC data, but also they'll serve as backup firewalls for public safety communication should we have a failure at the primary data center.
Thank you, Michael. Is there any questions for Michael? Billy, no questions from you?
Not this time, next time.
Awesome.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Michael. I think we can move on to the Secretary of State's office.
Good morning. This is Tim Horgan for the record. I'm sorry, I'm the only one on who can present this project, which is expansion of our hosting capacity for network for disaster recovery and cyber ransomware protection devices that are not a part of this project. So this is simply to expand our capacity to host a solution that we're budgeting for under other line items. This is expansion of our footprint at the switch facility. And I'm willing to take questions.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions on this one? Go ahead, Billy.
I wasn't gonna until you said you've been budgeting under different line items. What can you expand on that part?
Yeah, so our plan is to get a cyber vault. Hang on, let me bring that up. Which is an air-gapped backup and restoration device that is top of the line ransomware protection. All this line item is to give us the expanded footprint to host those other devices that are elsewhere, not a part of this grant application.
Did you already have this project? This is Billy Samuels. Did you already have this project maintained in your capital purchases or budget?
No, not specifically called out.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Akeem, go ahead.
Oh yeah, hi, Akeem Patel for the record. It said that this was to support, it said in the grant application, this was support our Project Orion project, but it didn't explain what that project was. Could you clarify that?
Project Orion is a, it's called a project. The secretary has been testifying to it as a project, but it is a bucket of really smaller projects to enhance our operations, to enhance some commercial recordings, service capabilities. So it's not one specific project, but rather a program full of smaller projects. And this is just one of those items.
Thank you, Tim. Sandy, did you have a question?
No, sorry, I was looking at the wrong line on the spreadsheet. I'll have one the next for Nye County. Sorry.
Sounds good. No problem. Any additional questions for Tim? All right, seeing none, I think we can move to Nye County. Is there a representative on that can go through the two projects for Nye County?
Hey, good morning. This is Patrick Lasme from Nye County Emergency Management. I also have our IT director, Brad Adams, on, who's going to go over the firewall upgrade one, and I can summarize the cybersecurity incident EOC upgrade one, and I can do that real quick. And the one for the EOC incident upgrade is what we're looking for is in accordance with the IT response plan. If there's a major cybersecurity incident, they would move their base of operations over here to the EOC. And we have no interior security cameras or anything like that on the inside of the building. And the outside of the building, we have very limited cameras, basically just viewing the front of the building and the side of the building. We'd like to expand that to be able to view all the way around the DEM building so that we can monitor anybody coming in and out, any equipment that comes in, so we can keep good security on any equipment that IT needs to bring over.
Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Adams, the Director of IT for Nye County. And just to follow up on that, on the firewall upgrade. This project is to make a bit of a change to our current infrastructure on one of our edge firewalls. Currently, we have a web filter that is a separate device co-located with Albert Sensor in path. We have a boundary firewall that with all the IOCs that we're receiving and we're constantly updating and modifying in combination with SSL and ATP and IDS on that same firewall, we're finding that we need to upgrade the firewall hardware. And also what we'd like to do in discussions, we'd like to move our web filter into the firewall and also implement a logging server that can capture firewall traffic for extended logging, as well as web filter traffic and any processes that would be captured from ADP and IDS, as well as SSL inspection, which is something that our current hardware is not doing.
Thank you both. Are there questions for the Nye County team? Go ahead, Sandy.
I just have a procedural question. So because this is in the first fiscal year, is that why objective 1 is allowable?
Amanda, I see you coming on screen.
Yeah, sorry, Amanda Jackson for the record. I got a little crazy with my clicks there. So objective 1 is allowable for both 22 and 23. It's just you have to hit 2 through 4 for 23, and you had to hit 1 in 22, but you can do all of them.
Okay, thank you.
Billy, go ahead.
Same thing that I had for the Shoshone, same thing with the M&A here. They are asking for M&A. As a group, historically, Tim, we normally, I know cyber, this is a new group that we have. Historically, in other funding streams that we use, we really don't do M&A. That's the responsibility of usually the internal customer. Because we add 5% to every project, we're going to outprice ourselves very quickly. So again, I think we need to kind of, as a group, think about if we're, I know that NOFO says it, but historically in other streams we have it. So just something to kind of think about. Again, if we're going to do it for one, we should be doing it for all, and that's going to cut into a lot of person's costs when the management and administration should already be handling with the funding stream that they have through their normal pay people.
Absolutely.
And this is Patrick Lasme from Nye County. Completely understand, and it's not a problem forfeiting that if we have to. Our grants admin policy is that if we can ask for it, we ask for it. So they want their money whenever they can get it.
Understandable. So I think with that, is there any other questions for the Nye County team? Awesome. I think we can move on to the Washoe County Emergency Management and Homeland Security Program.
Morning, everyone. This is Jessica Adams for the record. I am going to hand it over to Chris Long and Valerie Moser because they are our subject matter experts applying for this grant. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Chris Long. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the 2nd Judicial District Courts, and I have Val Moser, who's our CFO, with me on this. We had put in for 2 projects. Thanks for this opportunity. We're looking for funding to help with a professional network assessment so we can see what we don't know with our cybersecurity auditing and a deep dive into our applications on our network and our security. We want to comply and become accordance with the NIST standards for our framework. We're also looking for our Active Directory to have a security audit and remediation with that. Want to engage with some professional cybersecurity firms to evaluate and help remediate that and harden these to the standards. In addition to that, we're looking to add some additional firewalls. We're connected to our partnering agencies. We have staff in some of those buildings that we would like to segment off and protect both our partnering agencies and ourselves. We have our own point of presence for the internet. In addition to that, we have some content filtering we'd like to increase for cybersecurity also. That's the first project. The second project is for new and additional wireless security access points that are up to standards. Ours are probably 10 years old now. Also an internet proxy with zero trust access and some endpoint protection with malware viruses that are 24/7 monitored. And I am waiting for Mr. Samuel's questions.
Go ahead, Billy.
Billy Samuel. So Chris, I got a question regarding, you want to say you want to be NIST compliant. Are you guys not currently? And if so, if this project does not get approved, are you guys going to fund this where you are meeting that compliance that you stated?
Can you repeat that last part? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, so you said that you wanted this firewall and this upgrades to make sure you become NIST compliant. With that, if you don't get this project approved by this board, or if it's not ranked high enough, are you guys going to fund that project to make sure you guys are in compliance with those regulations?
You want to talk about funding?
So on the funding side of the house, sorry, Valerie Moser from District Court. On the funding side of the house, we have been submitting above base requests to Washoe County to fund our court technology needs. Unfortunately, those haven't been funded for the last couple of years. And I suspect that it'll be that way for this coming year. We will request the funding, but I highly doubt it will come this way.
No, fair enough. And if you do get that funding, I think I would imagine this project will be pulled as that would be the funding stream that you would use. And if not, obviously you still need to have this done. So thank you. That answered my question.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for the Washoe team? Awesome. Hearing none, I think we can move on to the Washoe County School District.
Hey there, my name is Austin Smith. I'm the IT Security Officer for the Washoe County School District.
We applied for several projects, the first one of which is an account and file auditing software. That's primarily for the license, and what it will do is it will track user account and file changes in our environment. Windows logging is traditionally very limited and kind of hard to decipher, and this would take that and put it onto another system and then make it a little bit more accessible for us so that we can detect, respond, and investigate issues when there's an identity-related attack. The next one we got is an expansion of our multi-factor authentication project, and really what that is licensing for the multi-factor authentication software, which supports our distributed workforce. We support a very large entity. We've got something like 100,000 devices, 62,000 students, 10,000 staff members. And what we've seen is that for MFA, that would prevent about 99% of known attacks just by securing and hardening identities. We have that in a limited capacity here so far, and what we want to do is expand that to more of our customers. The next one is our email security project, which would really go for protecting our email. About 91% of cyber attacks start with a phishing email. That's like an industry standard. And we're a very large public entity, and we interface with the public a lot. So a lot of our information is publicly accessible because there's a really big push in education to serve families and schools directly. So what we would do is we would use an email security system to create that kind of strong boundary to protect us against technical and non-technical threats, like somebody impersonating maybe an internal employee that they know about. The next one would be a penetration test, which we've scoped back to really be kind of targeted. And what that penetration test would do is it would focus on 2 locations, a school and our central office. What we want to do is we want to understand our vulnerabilities in what's called a known compromise test, which is really focused on an attacker already, the presumption that the attacker already has access to the internal network. So it's not that boundary focused test that is kind of common in the past. So we really want it to be an outsider. We want it to be a black box. And we've been surveying the environment to try to get somebody to potentially do that for us. The next one is a, let me make sure I've got everything here. The cloud assessment response system. So what we would want to do is we want to use some open source tooling and infrastructure to gather data that's on our distributed system. So like I mentioned before, we serve like a very large area. We serve a lot of students, families, staff, and what we would want to use this system for is to survey the environment, perform threat hunting and incident response, and then also cyber hygiene functions so we can get more information, more informed input from those endpoints. And then that's everything that I've got for 2022. Should I also do the one that I only have on 2023 as well? Okay, you got it.
We'll hold on to that until the next agenda item. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, Brandon Pierce for the record. Could you quickly rank your priorities for all those projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So number 1 for us would be the email security system. That's our top priority. Next would be the MFA. And then the known penetration test, then the account and file auditing system, and then the cloud assessment system. And I can say that again if you'd like me to.
I think I got it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Austin. Akeem, go ahead.
Thank you, Akeem Patel for the record. I have a question about the email security system. Is this like some sort of email analytics system you're putting in place in line with your current email service, or is it a wholesale replacement of your email service to something else?
It would be in line with our existing email service.
Oh, and how, like, is it what is the size of your user base for this?
So we're really looking at focusing on staff members primarily. We've got some restrictions on student email that we have in place, and that's really to prevent students from having their accounts compromised. So really what this would do is it would focus on protecting our staff members, who again are the ones who are administrators, interfacing with families, interfacing with that outside world, whereas students are primarily isolated like educational technology.
Thank you. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, Tim Morgan for the record. Thank you. I liked the question about asking you what your priorities were, but I missed a couple of them. Your first one was email security. The second was MFA. And what were the final 3?
The next one was the penetration test, and then the account and file auditing software. and then the cloud assessment system.
Thank you.
No worries.
Brendan, go ahead.
Yes, going back to the emails, since that is a top priority of yours, can you describe very briefly what your current email protections offer, and then again, kind of what additional protections you're hoping to gain?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're like a Microsoft shop, so we benefit from a lot of those like edge kind of boundary protections that they provide as a vendor. What we were really looking at doing, and we've evaluated a couple different solutions. It's business email compromise is one thing that we're trying to like target and prevent specifically. So that's like third-party vendors that we work with. If there's something that's suspicious that comes from like a third-party entity, say it's like from an old reply from an email, or somebody recently they like spun up a domain that impersonated another email. What we're trying to find is those kind of systems, because Microsoft is saying that's a good email because it passes like a reputation check, like a broad reputation check. Whereas we're trying to get like a little bit more of those advanced analytics and machine learning involved so that we can identify impersonations, sandbox malware when it comes in as an attachment, understand who's being impersonated and how, and really just use kind of a industry standard email security suite.
Great, thank you.
No worries.
Thank you both. Any additional questions? Okay, I appreciate your time, Austin, and appreciate all the presenters. I think we are getting ready to close out this agenda item and move into the ranking process. I think it might be good for us to take probably 5 minutes or so to write out our priority list, and then we can start going through discussing what those look like. Sandy, go ahead.
I just wanted, it's been a while since we ranked, so could we just have are we just supposed to go one through the whole list, or, okay.
And Billy's actually done this quite a few times, so I don't know if Billy wants to give us a quick and dirty rundown on how he sees it working best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, can I interrupt really quick? This is Mel Evans with City of Sparks. We do have a submission for 22, and I don't see that that's on there. I apologize.
Amanda, do we? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Amanda Jackson for the record. So your project was approved during the first round of ranking and voting. This is the second round. We had about $318,000 that we had left to reallocate, but your project was included in the first round.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I have not gotten an email on that, nor was I involved in that first conversation. I was out for surgery, so I beg your pardon.
No, you're fine. You're okay. And just an update for everyone. So we are still waiting for the fiscal year 2022 funding to be released to us. So that's why you haven't received any communication about it to this point, because we can't release the funding for the projects until the funds released to us.
Understood.
Thank you for catching me up. Sorry, folks.
You're okay.
No problem. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, this is Billy Samuel. So when you guys get to your name, so like, for example, when it goes to mine, if I thought that there's 17 projects is how I counted, I'm not very good at math, but I counted 17 of them there. So let's just say, for example, I have City of Reno for the core router replacement. That's A. That would be, if I said that was number 17, that would be number 17. And then B would be 6. C would be 7. Make sure you don't have any duplicate numbers, because you can't have the same number. You can't have like 3 7s. It doesn't work that way. You have to make sure you follow in order. You got to make sure you have 1 through 17 accounted for. Again, I'm fine to Tim, once I get down my calculations, I don't mind going first so people can kind of see the process and how it goes, if that's easier for everybody.
Perfect. I would appreciate that. And I think we will take you up on that offer to go first, just so that everybody can see how it's done. Because I know you've done that many times. So we'll come back at, let's say, right at 11 o'clock, and we will go through the ranking. How's everybody doing on ranking? Does anybody need a couple more minutes?
Almost done.
I
Yes.
still do, Tim. Yes, please.
I could use a couple more, thanks.
Okay.
This is Marilyn Delmont. My name's not on the voting list. What do I do? Vacant or something, or am I? It says I'm a voting member, but my name's not on there.
So I apologize, Amanda Jackson for the record, sorry. I apologize. I was unaware that there were new members added to the task force, but I've added them on mine and I'll go ahead and share my screen so you can see that on there. We created a column for you.
So how do I cast
This
my
is
vote?
Marty.
So we're going to be reading them out loud. So I'll type them in as as you read them out to me.
Oh, I guess I need to start ranking then. Okay.
This is Marty from the Airport Authority. Can you hear me?
Yes, Marty, go ahead.
So thank you for letting me on the task force. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to vote today. I'm not in a position to do that. I'm literally driving across the state right now. If there's a way I could submit them later, I'd be happy to do that. But if not, I'm happy to defer to the collective thought of the group.
Yeah, I'll defer to Sam, our counsel on that one, to make sure that it's okay to abstain. Marty, I think it would be totally okay to abstain from ranking. We'll double check with Sam when everybody's back on.
Hey, Tim, I'm sorry. I was talking to you with my microphone off. Yes, abstaining is absolutely fine. I think that would probably be better than submitting rankings later because it won't be in the public meeting process. So that would be, I think, the better option.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brantley, did you have something you wanted to add before we move into agenda item number 6?
Yeah, so Brantley, for the record, so I think we may have presented it out of order, but I know we submitted it in priority. So the network assessment was like our #1 priority, then it was core, router, and switch, kind of in that order. But I see the Excel sheet, so hopefully that doesn't confuse anything.
Appreciate the clarity.
So yeah, B and A would be switched, I guess.
No problem. I think we'll leave it the way it is, just with the way that it's in the agenda or the agenda item that was submitted. So I think just with the task force awareness that we would switch those two in their priority.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amanda Jackson, for the record, these were just done in alphabetical order by sub-applicant name and then project name.
Perfect. That makes sense to me. Is everybody feeling good about their rankings? Billy, you ready to kick us off?
Yes, sir. Whenever you need me to.
Amanda, we ready to go?
We are ready.
Awesome. We will start with Billy's rankings.
All right, this is Billy Samuels. Alpha is 8. Bravo 3. Charlie 10. Delta 1. Echo 7. Frank 2. I don't know what G is, but let's make that 4. H is 6. I is 9. J is 5. K 11. L 12. Michael 16. Nancy 17. O is 13. P as in Paul is 14. Q is 15.
And then for the record, we have A8, B3, C10, D1, E7, F2, G4, H6, I9, J5, K11, L12, M16, N17, O13, P14, and Q15.
That's correct. Thank you.
All right. Is there somebody that would be willing to go next? That wants to?
Yeah, I'm happy to go.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon Peterson. A is 11, B8, C12, D3, E1, F15, G7, H17, I16, J9, K5, L10, M14, N13, O4, P2, Q6.
And for the record, we have A11, B8, C12, D3, E1, F15, G7, H17, I16, J9, K5, L10, M14, N13, O4, P2, and Q6.
Correct.
In. Who's ready to go next?
I can.
go. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
All right. Sorry, I cut somebody off. I apologize. Okay. A15, B5, C16, D12, E13, F7, G1, H my own, so I kind of I ranked this last 17. I2, J6, K9, L11, M8, N as in Nancy 14, O3, P4, and Q10.
For the record, we have A15, B5, C16, D12, E13, F7, G1, H17, I2, J6, K9, L11, M8, N14, O3, P4, and Q10.
Correct.
Thank you, Tim. And whoever spoke up that I chose Tim instead of.
Akeem Patel for the record.
Go ahead, Akeem.
Okay, A15, B5, C16, D10, E3, F2.
I'm sorry, can you repeat F?
F2,
2.
G14, H17, I13, J9, K4, L12, M6, N7, O11, P1, and Q8.
And then Akeem, can you tell me H again? The sound kind of cut out there.
H was 17.
So we have A15, B5, C16, D10, E3, F2, G14, H17, I13, J9, K4, L12, M6, N7, O11, P1, and Q8.
That's correct. Thank you.
Who's next?
Mr. Chair, I'm ready to go. This is James Wood.
Go ahead, James.
A16, B2, C15, D7, E6, F3, G11, H17, I14, J4, K8, L9, M12, N13, O10, P5, and Q1.
For the record, A16, B2, C15, D7, E6, F3, G11, H17, I14, J4, K8, L9, M12, N13, O10, P5, and Q1.
That's correct.
Amanda, who do we have left?
We have Roger Waters, Sandy, and you and Bob.
I'm ready, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
and Marilyn, I'm sorry. I didn't scroll over far enough.
I'm ready to whenever.
General Waters, let's start with you and then we'll go to Marilyn.
Dan Waters for the record, Alpha 8, Bravo 10, Charlie 3, Delta 7, Echo 2, Foxtrot 17, Golf 4, Hotel 6, India 9, Juliet 5, Kilo 12, Lima 11, Mike 14, November 13, Oscar 16, Papa 1, Quebec 15.
I'm gonna read that back. I apologize for the red. That was when I formatting the copied over when I added this column, but it does add up to 153. So everything is there. We have A8, B10, C3, D7, E2, F17, G4, H6, I9, J5, K12, L11, M14, N13, O16, P1, and Q15.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Marilyn Delmont for the record. A8, B15, C13, D14, E12, F10, G1, H2, I3, J17, K4, L9, M7, N5, O6, P8, Q11.
Okay, I think looks like we have 2 8s in here. Number or letter A and P.
Marilyn, it sounds like you may have missed one number and we have 2 8s. Is there a number that may have got in there twice?
16. I'm sorry. Q was 16.
P was 16. Okay. And then what would you rank P?
P was, I'm sorry, P was 16, Q was 11. Sorry, got that back.
No worries. All right, let's read this back. We got A8, B15, C13, D14, E12, F10, G1, H2, I3, J17, K4, L9, M7, N5, O6, P16, and Q11.
Correct.
Thank you, Marilyn. And who do we have left? I think maybe Bob or Sandy first. Let's do Sandy.
I'm ready. Okay, so A6, B9, C4, D13, E5, F3, G1, H8, I10, J2, K11, L12, M16, N17, O7, P14, and Q15.
A6, B9, C4, D13, E5, F3, G1, H8, I10, J2, K11, L12, M16, N17, O7, P14, and Q15.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. I think Bob, we'll go to you first and then I'll go last.
Sounds good. Okay, A15, B1, C16, D2, E9, F3, G12, H13, I4, J14, K11, L10, M5, N6, O17, P7, and Q8.
For the record, I have A15, B1, C16, D2, E9, F3, G12, H13, I4, J14, K11, L10, M5, N6, O17, P7, and Q8.
That's it.
And Amanda, to take the easy way out, but also show my faith in the team, I'm actually going to take the ranking out of EE. So 14A, B2. Oh, shoot. Can we delete those really quick and I'll write them down so I can read them into the
Trust me,
record?
it's hard to read them back on this end too.
Yeah.
You're good.
14 to 16, 6 to 4. Would you mind scrolling down a bit?
Sure.
2 was duplicated.
9, Oh, yeah, it is.
And
There must be a tie.
no, I think I need to add in the additional columns. I'm gonna double check this when we're done.
Okay. Let's see. J. L. And then scroll down just a bit. So I actually think we need to move them up a little bit, but let's see. I'm making this harder than it needs to be. I'll read these off to you in just a second.
You're fine, take your time.
Ready when you are.
Wait 1 second. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
A13, B3, C14, D6, E2, F5, G1, H15, I7, J8, K9, shoot.
L.
L10, M11, N16, oh shoot. Did I already say 9? 9.
You already did say 9, yeah.
Okay. Well, then we'll just do P and Q, 4 and 10.
For P is 4.
Yes.
And then we have 2
2
9s
10s,
and 2
2 9s.
10s.
Ah, shoot.
So let's see, we got 1. I think we're missing a 12.
L12,
But maybe they for the record.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sure people don't accidentally have changed one of those numbers or something. But yeah, it's just a long product process.
This is what you get for trying to
17.
take the easy.
I know, I tried to take the easy way out and I made it way harder.
I think we're missing 17, Tim.
17,
You're experiencing exactly what I did last time.
gosh darn it.
Wonder what's in that big box. That box over there.
Really?
Wonder what's in there.
Yeah. No idea.
Amanda, would you mind scrolling down and I'll give you a last one. Let's do O as 17. Then I should be good.
Okay, I'm gonna read it back to you guys. I have
Sorry about that, everybody.
A13. Sorry, what was that?
I said sorry about that.
It's okay. A13, B3, C14, D6, E2, F5, G1, H15, I7, J8, K9, L12, M11, N16, O17, P4, Q10.
Perfect.
Bear with me just a second here. So I don't work well under pressure, so I'm sorry for the delay. Okay, I'm gonna share the other screen now. Okay, are we seeing the allocation sheet now?
We sure
Yes,
are.
ma'am.
Great. So this is what we end up with when we write them in order, and we have 318,882.20 left to allocate. So with the top 4 projects here, and I'm sorry if this is small and you can see it. So with these 4, that puts us at 323,000. So we're a little over. 323,889. So we can cut off $5,000.
And you'll need to select a color and then pick the lines on the border.
Thank you. I'm just gonna let it sit there like that because I'm under pressure doing it. Thank you, Akeem.
Good afternoon. This is Zach Edler for the record. I am duplicating Amanda's work. I'm her contingent backup. And looking at the ranks, we have a different ranking. Could I have her run through those ranks real quick at the task force discretion to deconflict?
Go ahead, Zach.
Thank you, Chair. Amanda, would you mind reading through yours and I'll check those against mine?
Sure. Give me one second. Okay, do you want me to start just at the end of the list?
Yeah, would you mind just
Okay.
running down those for me?
Sure. Tim has in descending order 15, 5, 16, 12, 13, 7, 1, 17, 2, 6, 9, 11, 8, 14, 3, 4, 10.
Oh, gotcha. I was looking at the wrong Tim. There we go. Yes.
Okay. Marilyn has 8, 15, 13, 14, 12, 10, 1, 2, 3, 17, 4, 9, 7, 5, 6, 16, 11.
Copy.
Akeen has 15, 5, 16, 10, 3, 2, 14, 17, 13, 9, 4, 12, 6, 7, 11, 1, 8.
Copy.
Brandon has 11, 8, 4, sorry, excuse me, 11, 8, 12, 3, 1, 15, 7, 17, 16, 9, 5, 10, 14, 13, 4, 2, 6.
Okay.
General Waters has 8, 10, 3, 7, 2, 17, 4, 6, 9, 5, 12, 11, 14, 13, 16, 1, 15.
Copy.
Sandy has 6, 9, 4, 13, 5, 3, 1, 8, 10, 2, 11, 12, 16, 17, 7, 14, 15.
Copy.
Billy has 8, 3, 10, 1, 7, 2, 4, 6, 9, 5, 11, 12, 16, 17, 13, 14, 15.
Copy.
James has 16, 2, 15, 7, 6, 3, 11, 17, 14, 4, 8, 9, 12, 13, 10, 5, and 1.
Copy.
And then oops. We have Tim Robb with 13, 3, 14, 6, 2, 5, 1, 15, 7, 8, 9, 12, 11, 16, 17, 4, and 10.
Okay.
And then Bob has 15, 1, 16, 2, 9, 3, 12, 13, 4, 14, 11, 10, 5, 6, 17, 7, and 8.
Okay. And then could you just run down the list for the voting members rank column for me?
Sure. We got 14, 3, 16, 6, 2, 4, 1, 15, 9, 7, 8, 12, 13, 17, 11, 5, 10.
Amanda, this is Marilyn. Can you read mine again?
Yes, ma'am. 8, 15, 13, 14, 12, 10, 1, 2, 3, 17, 4, 9, 7, 5, 6, 16, and 11.
Is it too late to change 4 of them? E, F, G, and H?
Tim, I'm going to defer to you on that.
If you're okay from a procedural standpoint, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so E is 1, F is 2, G is 10, and H is 12. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amanda, I ended up
Yes.
finding my error. Thank you.
Okay, so we're good.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's see if that changes this here. Yeah, it's still the same. So we have $5,007.78 to cut off to hit the 318,882.20 that we still have to pass through.
Bob Denhart for the record, would it be acceptable to the committee to take one of the line items that's got a contingent 2023 application and move it to the 2023 grant period in order to allow the remaining three and possibly P, depending on which one we move, to be funded? Would that be something that would be both procedurally and I guess philosophically acceptable?
I'm okay with that, but I'm not sure if that's allowable in the grant process. I'm not sure if Amanda or maybe Jared might know.
I am not sure. This is the first time I've run into this, so I'm going to defer to the two of them, Zach and Jared.
I can pick that up if that's okay. So looking at it, given the contingent projects have a duplicate in the 2023, that would be acceptable for the grant process. The catch is to remember that the fiscal year 23 has a higher cost share amount than the FY22.
Understood. So Bob, I think it would be kind of up to the jurisdiction if they were willing to pick up that additional 10% because the second year is a 20% cost share.
Understood, and thank you for that clarification. I was just trying to see a way forward where we can fund as many of these as possible.
Yeah, understood. So Amanda, what's next steps on this with being a little bit, I think that 5,000 number, what do
You
we
could
need to do?
propose if anyone is willing to cut their project by $5,007.78.
Okay. Is there anybody on the phone from those projects that made it above the line that might be able to see a slight cut to their project?
This is Marilyn Delmar, Clark County. Yes, on the MFA, we can cut a slight cut on that. We can do that.
$5,007.78.
Yes.
And this is Angela Askey with City of Reno. If you want to share that, I think we would be comfortable at the 50,000 mark for ours as well.
Awesome. We appreciate that.
Let me figure out what that would be. So for City of Reno, you would cut $2,237.
Yeah.
318,882. Yeah, 10 cents.
The Ely Shoshone tribe could waive the M&A cost.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm just getting that amount from the application. So 1,356.57. Okay, so then. Seven. Okay, so we have 3,651.11 to cut down. Where we had a bunch of ideas. Where do we want to take that from?
Sorry, Amanda, I'm not sure I understood the question.
So if Ely Shoshone Tribe, so once with everybody's cuts that they proposed, we were over what we needed to cut. So starting over, if Ely Shoshone takes their M&A costs out, we have to cut $5,007.68. So with that M&A cost taken out, we're still over by 3,651. So do we want to still take it from City of Reno, or do we want to split it between the two, or how did you guys want to work that out?
I think if we split it between the two, because it's a lower dollar amount now, right? So if we could split it between the two, as they kind of mentioned they'd be willing to do, I think that'd be great.
That puts us where we need to be.
Perfect.
So just for the record, we have the Clark County School District MFA for 500, critical employees for 75,093.43. We have the Ely Shoshone Tribe migrate to a DACA interdict only for 27,131.33. City of Reno network and security assessment with 50,411.44, and Humboldt County Emergency Management Firewall Threat Protection Project for $166,246.
Awesome. So Samantha, from a process standpoint, do we need to vote on accepting that as our official recommendation to DEM? Sam, you might be on mute.
Oh my gosh, I need to stop having two mute buttons. Okay, sorry. Samantha Laddick from the Attorney General's office. Yes, you are going to need to vote on the final rankings.
Awesome. I would accept the motion to accept the final rankings as our recommendation to DEM for the administration of the cybersecurity grant.
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Sandy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Sorry, Tim.
James is the second, no problem. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Oh, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passes. We can officially close out this this ranking process and move on to agenda item number 7, which is the SLCGP and budget proposal presentations for federal fiscal year 23. And I think we have the Board of Regents for the Nevada System of Higher Education. Is there somebody on that can walk us through your project?
Yeah, this is Brandon Peterson for the record. We've actually pulled our project. I think we realized that we are probably just outside the scope of the actual grant here. So everybody can delete A out of their list. One less to rank.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. And that means we can move on to Carson City Fire and Emergency Management.
The difference.
Looks like, John, we have you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Sure can, loud and clear.
All right. Thank you, committee members. This is an opportunity to explain the Carson City 2023 CISA Cyber Local Security Grant application. This grant's for physical security components to be included in the design of our new Carson City IT and Cyber Center. emergency management office and EOC, the emergency operations center, as well as the fire station that'll be attached to it. This project is still in the design phase and needs some physical security components to ensure that all the local resources and assets for the capital city are secure. The itemized list includes several types of cameras, Cipher activated cameras, as well as surveillance, control panels, strike pads, and the main control, along with wiring and installation. So the total grant amounts for $191,039.10. This amount could be scalable should it need to be, as well as it's considered a shareable resource because the Quad County other emergency management programs, as well as state DEM, could utilize the facility for an alternative EOC and training center. So pending any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Good to see you in your new role. Billy, go ahead with your question.
Just because me and John are friends doesn't mean he just gets to scoot by. So we're gonna be clear on this one. Hey, John, so you did M&A on yours. I know you're probably going to look at that and probably hopefully we can remove that M&A cost and looks like that just so we're consistent across the board. But my question is, when you look at all these cameras, is there going to be licensing fees? And if there are on that maintain, are you going to be coming back next year for this same project for the licensing, for the capture, for like the milestone type project? So can you explain that?
Great question. John Backetall for the record. No, all the licensing and continuing maintenance will be built into the city's general fund budget.
Thank you.
All right, couldn't find my mute button. Any other questions for John? Awesome. I think we can move to the City of Reno team.
Sorry, my camera will come on at some point. So with the network assessment being
All right,
approved,
Angela, just a reminder, we've got to say your name at the beginning. No problem.
Angela Askey, City of Reno for the record. Sorry about that. With the network assessment being approved for 2022, that brings us back to our switches. With our switches being a couple decades old, we have the potential for some pretty big security holes. Those would obviously have a lot of functionality that is missing along with security features. And then the other one is our core router. You know, we support public safety and dispatch. And if the core router goes down, we do not have a high availability environment. This would bring us to some core routers that are not a couple decades old, but it also gives us that HA environment and all the latest and greatest security features. So that's our two for this 2023 round.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the City of Reno team?
I don't have a question for them, but did we skip the school district?
So sorry, I'm running off of the agenda item number 8 ranking list. So probably, let's see. Nope, we've got the Clark County School District next.
I had Carson City School District next, but am I looking at the wrong spreadsheet?
That's correct. We do have Carson. Sorry, Amanda Jackson for the record. We do have Carson City School District on here next.
Okay, I think I might be looking at the wrong one then, so.
Sorry, I can't keep it straight. So if we could go.
I appreciate it. Let's see. You are correct. Okay. We'll go back to the Carson City School District for their project presentation.
Sorry, just for clarification, Tim, are you looking for that presentation now, or are you looking at circling back later in the agenda?
If we can do that now, I think we're good to go. There's no questions for the City of Reno team.
So Raymond Medeiros, for the record, I'm the CIO for the Carson City School District. And what we are looking to accomplish is to improve our physical security posture around our equipment racks. Currently, a lot of them are sitting in open spaces, publicly accessible to students, staff, and vendors, contractors, so on and so forth. They are open frame racks, they're not lockable. So we really want to get to a point where we can restrict access to those equipment racks. We struggle with contractors making changes to the to our our equipment racks, adding in additional equipment, changing port locations and things like that, which cause issues with segmentation, and it just causes all kinds of problems. Discussions have been had with contractors, but those employees are kind of coming and going, and so they don't always send the same people out. Understanding over time has changed due to turnover. And so what we would like to do as part of this project is take 34 locations, 34 of our equipment racks, and change them over to secured lockable racks so we can prevent the access to those spaces. Yeah, that's our project in a nutshell.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Carson City School District? Okay, I think we can move to the Clark County School District for their presentation.
Hi, yes, Carl Jones for the record with Clark County School District. Okay, so our ask is first one on the list is our Clark County School District incident response planning and tabletop exercises. And I kind of alluded to this prematurely earlier in the conversation, but just a reminder, this is for our incident response planning and procedures and playbooks to create them for external, not external, but non-central IT departments, especially our transportation, which is in charge of busing our kids to school every day and home, and our food services. This is to increase their incident response plan, procedure, and playbooks, and get them ready for in the case of a breach. Should I go on to the next item?
Yes, please.
Okay. Then the next item will be is the contingent one. That's item H, and I believe that could be struck because we achieved that in the first FY22 vote. So the next one after that will be the Clark County School District Network Security, item I, and that is for increased firewall protection internally to our network. These are not edge firewalls, but internally to improve security of our critical data, such as FERPA, HIPAA, those types of and financial data that is sensitive and critical to further protect that. Our next one after that is our security awareness training. We're looking for a SaaS solution to provide up-to-date cybersecurity training for all our employees from every range to from end users to technical staff, and something that we can use as our mandatory training every year for our workforce. And after that is our continuation of our multi-factor authentication. The first one was for the 500 critical employees, and we would like to expand that to our 40,000 staff and teachers in the school district to, again, follow best practices and better protect our assets from cyber attacks and from bad actors, especially those, who are using help desks and other means to other social engineering tactics to get inside of people's accounts and steal credentials. And I believe that is all for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Brandon Peterson for the record. I will ask you, now that you've had item H approved in the fiscal year 22 to maybe re-rank your priorities for fiscal year 23.
Okay. Let's see. I would probably say let's go with I for our number one. Let's go with multi-factor K for number two.
Can you just, sorry, Sandy Rublet for the record. I don't think the letters are correct anymore. I've been renumbering mine. Can you say what the first one project name is, not the letter?
Oh, sure. Okay, so Clark County School District Network Security would be a number one priority. Clark County School District multi-factor authentication for all employees would be number two. Clark County School District Go on. Incident response planning and tabletop exercises would be number 3. And Clark County School District Security Awareness Training, SAS, would be number 4.
Thank you very much. Any more questions for the clerk? Akeem, go ahead.
Hi, Akeem Patel for the record. I have a question about the MFA. It saw in the grant application that it involved a substantial amount of professional services and contractor hours to implement. And are those fees able to be reduced since it was already funded, and the contract hours and professional services were also in the previous year to implement? Would you still need those?
We did in the application indicate that we could scale the application, the implementation of that. So yes, we could scale that if we were asked to.
Good to know. Thank you very much. Any additional questions for Clark County School District? Okay, hearing none, I think we're good to move to the Ely Shoshone Tribe.
Yeah,
This is it.
Go ahead, sorry.
Michael Dalton, Ely Shoshone Tribe. Based on the 2022 funding, the tribe will pull their 23 application.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we can move to the Nevada Department of Corrections.
Mark Connell with Nevada Department of Corrections. Lisa Lucas is also online. She's our IT chief. This would be update all of our firewalls throughout the department. We have 17 facilities. It would also have HA for our 3 critical sites, the central administration, the administration down south, and our disaster recovery in Indian Springs. We have several of them that are coming into life of next year, and this would bring those up to standards, and it would also update the rest of them to where we would be able to update the software to higher levels than we would be able to if not. That's it, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Any questions for corrections? Okay, we can move to the Secretary of State's office.
Thank you, Tim Horgan, for the record. This is the new cyber vault solution that I alluded to in the earlier presentation. It is an isolated, immutable backup solution. It's hardware and software. It provides comprehensive scanning, detailed reporting. It is a proven solution that reduces recovery times from malware attacks from weeks to days or hours. It is the top of the line from Dell Technologies. It's a logically separated solution from data. So cyber attacks that go looking for your backups cannot be found on this solution. Multiple layers of security and controls protect our agency's data within this solution. And it is specifically focused on ransomware prevention.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Any questions for Brandon? Go ahead.
Yeah, Brandon Peterson for the record. Tim, I'm curious, I did just a quick web search and I couldn't find what I was looking for. Is Project Orion, did the legislature fund that project in the last session?
They did, yes.
Okay, and it looked like there was some number, 15 million and 30 million. Maybe, do you mind just real quick, just at a very high level, describing, what was funded?
I don't know what the 30 million is. The 15 million was for Orion. That was that is primarily going to staffing and vendor support for our commercial recordings solution.
Okay, so what you're looking for is basically additional security to support that project, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Billy, go ahead with your question.
This is Billy Samuels. Just making sure that he mentioned that he's going to use a Dell product. That there's still, we can't, identify specific projects that are products that we're going to use. It still needs to go out for the bid process, whether HP or Dell or name the vendor comes through at a better price. We just can't make sure we're pigeonholing ourselves for a specific product.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thanks for that clarity, Billy. Any additional questions for the Secretary of State's office? Okay, I think we're good to move to Nye County. Do we have anybody from Nye County on still? Okay, we'll skip them and come back. Office of Cyber Defense Coordination.
Akeem Patel for the record. We have 3 projects submitted for the grant. The first is to start up a statewide a resources program for all the various public entities in the state. One of the things we want to build out is a policy library for all the various groups to tap into, to be able to access policy templates to actually rapidly deploy full-fledged cybersecurity policy libraries across their environment. I know some of the larger entities already have a pretty robust setup for this, but most of the smaller entities have not had a chance to fully tackle good policy setup. So this would be able to provide a resource for all the entities within the state to tap into, whether they have a program in place or not, to actually start working on a policy like deployment and policy library for themselves. We wish to actually start up a cybersecurity lab for doing malware testing and actually being able to test the various malicious systems, malicious attacks that people get across the state, to be able to, when we get submissions of emails and like a questionable malware, we actually run it through testing equipment to actually see what it's doing, to try to debug it and actually go through and figure out what the best defenses and recovery tools are for those. And we wish to actually have a cybersecurity conference focused on the state government entities that we help fund, just like an internal conference, not something that's vendor driven, which is what most of the resources we have access to at the moment are. And we, like the rest of the funding, would kind of go towards working with the various public entities across the state for outreach and support in whatever ways are needed. For the statewide SOC, SIEM, and information sharing program, there is a great need statewide for the cybersecurity professionals to be able to share threats and cybersecurity intelligence in a centralized fashion across all the entities within the state. A lot of states have started to set up what they call ISACs, information sharing and assurance centers, which is a way where any entity in the state can submit a threat that they see, and the relevant points from that kind of get shared out across all the entities within the state that are subscribed to the ISAC, so for all the technical folks to rapidly be able to deploy defenses against threat that one entity sees, to help coordinate defenses across everyone instead of everyone just kind of acting by themselves, kind of create like a more coherent statewide response instead of just like an individual bit by bit response to threats. Because we do see a lot of threat actors kind of move from entity to entity to entity, and this would allow us to actually share those threats. So if one entity is targeted, all the other ones can actually work to defend. And the last entry, the support staff kickstart, is a way to, because we're starting all these programs outside of the legislative budget cycle, we do need support staff to help bring some of them to fruition. And this would be a way to help fund that support staff with a match from the state until the next cycle when we can actually put these positions in place under our legislative appropriations.
Thank you, Akin. Any questions for the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination?
I don't have one for Bob Denhart for the record. I don't have one for Akin, but I have a general accounting question. Should I hold that until the end of the presentations?
Bob, if it happens to affect most of or multiple projects, I think that would probably be good.
Okay, thank you. I will do so.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Any questions for Akin? Okay, we can move on to the Truckee Meadows Water Authority.
Hello there, Chris Briscoe, IT Supervisor for the Truckee Meadows Water Authority. For the record, TMWA is applying for this grant to secure funding to provide resiliency to our network connectivity to our various remote sites. These sites are spread throughout the Truckee Meadows area and serve various functions in our water distribution system. Due to the challenges in providing secure network connections to these various sites, we struggle with providing consistent, secure, stable connectivity, resulting in outages which disrupt physical and cybersecurity monitoring of these sites. Currently, our network is engineered using private lands from local ISPs where available, supplemented with cellular gateways. The current cellular gateways are due for replacement. However, relying on cell service to connect back to our enterprise network does not provide adequate reliability for consistent monitoring. The proposed project would incorporate rugged next-generation firewalls at each remote site configured with encrypted VPN connectivity to our enterprise network. These firewalls would be managed with centralized configuration software to provide consistent and streamlined configuration. These firewalls would also be licensed for software-defined WAN. We would be able to use commodity-based internet connectivity, which is more cost-effective than building out and contracting with local ISPs for private lands. We would utilize new network switches in our data center to facilitate connectivity to our existing firewalls to provide secure access to these sites. The proposal includes the rugged firewalls, network switches, and licensing software costs for the needed equipment. All work will be performed by our current staff. And to recap, the goals of this project are to increase reliability and availability of cyber and physical security monitoring at TUMWA's remote field sites, increase visibility of network traffic at remote field sites, and increase fault tolerance for site-to-site and internet access business connectivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Billy, go ahead.
This is Billy Samuels. Being a water authority, do you guys have other avenues to secure grant funding? I know we're going to be over a lot on this funding stream. Do you guys ever work at any other locations for some types of funds for this type of activity?
Usually this type of activity would be incorporated into capital projects. However, this specific project is not budgeted for any upcoming capital projects.
Thanks, Chris.
Any additional questions for Truckee Meadows Water Authority? Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. We will move on to the Washoe County School District.
Austin Smith for the record, representing the Washoe County School District as the IT security officer. For 2023, we had 4 requests that we put into our applications. The first one was for our email security system. As I stated previously, the email security system is important because we're a large public entity that interfaces with the public, including serving families of Washoe County. Email is a major avenue that's in and out of our district, as with most organizations. And the statistics are that 91% of cyber attacks start with phishing email. This system would allow us to identify, prevent, and respond to malicious emails. Conventional filtering doesn't really work because it focuses on a reputation check. But if if a sender has a clean reputation, that email is not going to get blocked. So it reaches our organization and our existing system before it can be stopped. And that's what these advanced technologies would be kind of targeted at stopping. It would stop things like conventional financial fraud, as well as more malicious cyber attacks like ransomware. And then for my next piece, the multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is really important for securing the accounts of our distributed workforce. MFA is supposed to stop a pretty considerable amount of attacks. It's very important. And the software that we would use is really focused on securing our IT administrators in our environment. So we would prevent the compromise of an IT administrator who could rapidly move through the environment and cause untold havoc. So multi-factor authentication is very important for our entity as well, as with most entities. The next one is account and file auditing software, which is really focused on identifying and tracking changes to accounts and then also files on our file shares. So that's where like some of our sensitive data, as some of the other entities have alluded to, like HIPAA, FERPA, sensitive student data, protecting that and making sure that it's not being modified by unscrupulous actors. That would supplement a lot of the existing logging that's configured on systems that we can get out of the box. But it would really help detect, respond and investigate issues when they happen, so that we don't know how something didn't or did occur. And then the last one is something that supplements threat intelligence system. And really what this would do is it would provide infrastructure for us to support a threat intelligence system. It would give us access to feeds, which are important because a lot of attacks move through an environment. They might be targeting other entities in the state of Nevada. They might be targeting other entities or other K-12 institutions across the state or across different states. And getting access to those feeds would really help us prevent a lot of these attacks that are targeting a widespread base in education. It also gives access to a sandbox solution so we can do more dedicated malware analysis than we do today. Yeah, it'd help us ideally prevent and respond to coordinated cyber attacks.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. Any questions for Washoe County School District? Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not really on the project itself. It's kind of really on your MFA.
Yes, sir.
You titled it as sustain, but I'm reading through a thing and it says build. So I'm guessing I'm kind of confused on how it's sustained versus build. What can you please clarify that?
Sure, absolutely. So I had applied for this for the 2022 as well, and I didn't really think of it as like a contingent versus sustain. But what it does is it built our capacity because most of it's focused on the licensing. So we have a very limited MFA implementation on a handful of administrators right now. And what we would do is we would expand that beyond to all the administrators in our organization.
So this is Billy Samuels. Did you get it approved in the 2022?
No, sir.
So wouldn't be a sustained project. This should be a new or a build project if I'm correct. Is that, I mean, Tim, am I reading that, or Amanda, am I reading that correctly?
I can put that on. Oh,
That's
no,
correct. So, sorry, Amanda Jackson for the record. I believe what Austin is saying is that had he been funded for this project in 22, this would be a sustained project. However, because it wasn't funded, now this would be the initial build of the project.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect. And that leads me to my next question. This is Billy again. Are you going to be coming back to this group every year for this $19,000 or give or take to keep this in your project for your MFA?
No, sir. I put that into the information on the grant, but we were going to put that into our regular budget process so that we could start building it into our regular budget and just pay for it out of our funds.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Akin, go ahead.
Yes. So I have a question regarding, there's multiple projects here for collecting data and threat intelligence. Do you have some sort of log analytics or SIEM project in-house already to take advantage of this data and deal with the alerts that crop up from it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an internal SIM that captures a lot of our information from our infrastructure. But dealing with that data and crunching it is just a big challenge in general. We maintain like a pretty small staff, but that's what we would do is we would use our existing staff to use probably API configurations and cross connections with other systems to make sure that we're leveraging that the way that we can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think with that, we can start working towards our oh, actually, Bob, did you want to ask your question about the finance piece?
Yes, Sandy has her hand up. She's
Oh.
more important than me.
Well,
Go ahead,
that's
Sandy.
not true, but thank you. I just wanted to clarify to make sure I didn't miss anything. We had 4 projects approved in the last round, right? Was Nye County one of those? I just want to confirm.
Amanda Jackson for the record. No, Nye County was not one of those. We had,
Can you tell me which ones were?
yeah, definitely. The City of Reno Network and Security. So that was Project E. Clark County School District MFA for 500 employees. That was Project H as in Henry. And the Ely Shoshone Tribe migrate to .gov internet domain. That was Project L. And then Project A for the Border Regions was withdrawn.
Is that one on this list somewhere? Oh, the first one, got it. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Amanda, just to confirm, A, D, H, and L are off the list then.
It's A as in Adam, E as in Edward, H as in Henry, L as in Larry.
Perfect, okay. All right, so I think with that, we can, actually, go ahead, Bob, with your question.
All right, so I was looking at Bob Denhart for the record. I was looking at the attachment 7A. And down at the bottom of the list, we have a breakdown of requirements for funding. We have the overall allocation, the state allocation, rural pass-through, and non-rural funds available, which is great to have that breakdown. In looking at the rural percentage claimed and rural pass-through amounts on the main spreadsheet, there are some projects that are 100% rural pass-through, some that are roughly 7.25. We have one that's 70%. We have 3 at 80%. And I see that those rural pass-through dollars are reflected under the rural pass-through required. My question is, especially, focusing in on the state allocation, which we are way over on, and I wanted to make sure that I was understanding this correctly. We have 3 projects that are that would be the state allocation that are 80% rural pass-through. Does that mean that of the total amounts of these projects, 20% is being applied to the state allocation, or is that 100% being applied to the state allocation, which kind of feels like double dipping to me?
Amanda Jackson for the record. This does get very confusing, and we worked on it quite a bit trying to figure out the best way to communicate it, and I still don't think that we hit that point, but everything that is state funding is counted as state in that field. Rural funding is counted as rural in the rural field. They're separate, so don't look at them together, look at them separately. So we have 15% of this funding that is allowed to be kept at the state level without any additional consents or anything like that to be done. We can go over that. There is just an extra step that we'll handle on the grant side at the back end. The rural pass-through, we have to hit 25% of that funding. So it's being counted in both places, yes, but we're still tracking to make sure that we hit everything that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to hit that 25% rural pass-through. So we have to have at least $1,268,000 in rural projects approved in order to hit that pass-through. I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think so. I think I've got a better understanding. Yeah, thank you.
okay. I know that's a little confusing, but just try and look at those separately and just think about the separate things that we need to hit.
Well, if you ever saw my checkbook, you'd understand just how confusing it can be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you both. Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Billy Samuels. Bob, at least you have money in a checkbook, so that's good. You have a problem. Amanda, so when I'm looking at the 25% that we have to meet as a group, are we able to identify those first to make sure? Because if they get put towards the very bottom of the rank list, it's going to be a long process for this whole afternoon. If we can identify which ones we have to have, and almost like when we would do this, if I had to do like, let's say a 3% for a cyber or 3% for elections on the UAG, those projects that are in there that we have to have, those get funded no matter what, because we have to do it. So is that not what we're doing on this one, or how is that going to work?
So with all the rural projects considered, we're still $257,000 over the 25% rural pass-through that we need to hit. So there still would need to be a degree of ranking and voting. I mean, unless you want to just fund them all, which is an option too. We can go over that 25%. But
Well, when I'm looking at, I don't know, I don't see. Oh, never mind. Disregard. I found it on my other side.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is everyone feeling a little bit more comfortable? Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, this is Tim Horgan for the record. I just wanted to make sure, and I apologize, you've read it twice or three times, but the ones that are withdrawn are A, H, L, and I'm missing one. What was the fourth one?
Amanda Jackson for the record, it's E as in Edward. So E as in Edward, H as in Henry, L as in Larry, A as in Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions before we go into ranking? And I won't mess up the ranking as bad as I did the first time. Akeem, go ahead.
With those withdrawn projects, where do we stand at the funding level versus the amount of funding we have?
So we are still, I can go ahead and share this so you guys can see what I'm looking at too. So we have 6,040,000, and we need to pass through 4 million. So we're 2 million over what we need to pass through.
Akeem, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Since it is noon and we've been going at it for quite a while, do we want to take a little bit longer on the ranking process and maybe use a little bio break time?
I think that's fine, but I do have, I have a hard out at 1, so.
Okay. Let's do, you think we could do 20 minutes, and Sandy, you can go first? Actually, we'll need to get through all of the ranking pretty quickly, so.
Again.
Yeah, Billy first and then Sandy. But we'll make sure we crank through it pretty quickly. Do we want to say 15 minutes on this one? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will be back here at 12:35. Welcome back, everybody.
I'm here with you, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome. Thank you, General.
Hello, Tim.
Sakine.
As am I. This is this is the wrong Tim.
I appreciate that, Tim. And I believe Amanda had something she wanted to correct from right before we went to the the ranking portion.
Yeah, Amanda Jackson for the record. I just want to apologize and correct. I misspoke. So we are over $1.2 million. So $1,221,575, not 2 million. I misspoke.
Awesome. I appreciate that clarification. That's helpful. All right. I think with that, Amanda, are you ready to go for agenda item number 8?
I am ready. I'm going to share that screen here in just a second.
I have another silly question. This is Sandy Rublin. Are we re-lettering or are we going with the original lettering?
Looks like Amanda may have struck through the previous lettering, so we'll probably keep the same order of the letters, but skip the ones that we've crossed out.
Thank you.
That kind of changes things. This is Billy. That changes things a little bit. So we're gonna have to kind of look at that.
I know, we should have asked.
I strike through mine. So it's
Yeah, so did I.
It's gonna take me a minute, Tim. I apologize.
Okay. No problem.
I did mine both ways, like I created a new column, so if I can try to go, but I would rather wait for Billy, actually.
We're all gonna wait for Billy.
Yeah.
I just read those four at the bottom, so which I think is what
we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll come back if that works.
Amanda, can you go back to the left so I can try to review this, please?
Billy, I apologize. Can you repeat that?
What's that?
Can you repeat that? I couldn't catch what you said.
Yeah, can you move your cursor back over to your left? Thank you. So I can just make sure my numbers are lined up. That's perfect right there. Thank you.
This is Tim Horgan. So if I'm thinking about this correctly, we're keeping the letters as they existed. We'll just start with B as in boy, and then skip E, H, and L. Is that right?
That's my understanding, Amanda. Is that correct?
Okay.
That is correct, unless everyone would prefer me to redo the letters, which I can definitely do that too.
This is Akeem Patel. I think that's easiest.
And this is Carl Jones. Does that mean we're ranking from 1 to 19? Is that what I understand?
I've got 19.
I also have 19.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I only have 18, so let me see where I went wrong.
Okay, they've been, Amanda Jackson for the record, they've been relettered. So we're just going A through S now. S is in Sam.
Okay, so Billy or Sandy, when you guys are ready.
So what was that? What we going through what?
That's the opposite of what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I'm really screwed
if
up
you read
now.
the lettering, please, because that would be, we'd have to all redo the lettering.
I'm sorry, can we clarify, please, Amanda Jackson, for the record? Are we re-lettering them or are we leaving the letters and just skipping over the blank ones or the skipped ones?
Akeem Patel, I think we should keep the letters and skip over the ones.
Okay.
Yes.
Tim Horgan, that's my vote as well.
So
Yeah, that would work better, man. If you just struck through A, because I wrote down basically A through W, and I just crossed out A, so I started with B. So if you can just do strike, does it work like that on your accounting portion side?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
This is Sandy. I still only have 18 and I don't know how. Does everyone else have 19?
I have 18 too. This is Maryland. I have 18.
This is so much fun.
I have 19.
I have 19.
Hey, Amanda, would you mind going through the project names of the ones that we are going to rank?
You bet. So Amanda Jackson for the record, I have B is Carson City Fire Emergency Management Physical Security Proximity Camera. C is Carson City School District State and Local Cybersecurity Grants Program. D is City of Reno Contingent Core Router Replacement. F as in Frank is City of Reno Contingent Sustained Switch Replacement. G is Clark County School District Contingent Incident Response Planning and Tabletop Exercise. I is Clark County School District Network Security. J is Clark County School District Security Awareness Training. K is Clark County School District Sustained Multi-Factor Authentication for all employees. M as in Mary is Nevada Department of Corrections Network Security Firewall System. N as in Nancy is Nevada Secretary of State Project Orion Cyber Vault. O is Nye County Contingent Firewall Upgrade. P is State of Nevada Office of Cyber Defense SLTT Resources Program. Q is Office of Cyber Defense Statewide SOC SEIM ISAC Program. R is the Office of Cyber Defense Support Staff Kickstart. S is in Sam is Truckee Meadows Water Authority Field Site Network Resiliency and Monitoring. T as in Tom is Washoe County School District Contingent Account and File Auditing Software License. U is Washoe County School District Email Security System Contingent. V as in Victor is Washoe County School District Multi-Factor Authentication, and W is Washoe County School District Threat Intelligence System.
That help get everybody on the same page?
Just need to figure out which one I'm missing, but yeah, I have all those correct.
Okay, perfect. Billy, are you ready to kick us off?
Yeah, I have a little anxiety, but yeah, I can do this. You ready, Amanda?
I am ready. Go for it.
All right, this is Billy Samuels. And I appreciate General Waters on helping with some of my pneumatics for my alphabet, so good. Bravo is 3. Charlie is 4. Delta is 7. We're skipping E, so Frank is 8. Gregory is 5. Igloo is 14. I don't remember what J was, but that's 11. K is in kitten is 12. M is in Michael is 13. N is in Nancy is 19. O as in October is 6. P is in Paul 10. Q is 1. R is 9. S is in Sam is 2. T is 15. U as an umbrella is 18. V as Victor is 17. W 16.
And for the record, we have B3, C4, D7, F8, G5, I14, J11, K12, M13, N19, O6, P10, Q1, R9, S2, T15, U18, V17, and W16.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, goodness.
Sandy, you ready to rock?
Yeah, I cannot figure this out, so I'm gonna read my numbers and maybe you all can help me. I've got all the letters right. I think I've got all the numbers, but I am missing one, so I will try my best. Okay, so B1, C2, D5, F11, G12, I6, J16, K9, M7, N13, O3, P14, Q8, R18, S4, T17, U5, V10, and W15.
Sandy, it looks like we got 2 5s in there.
Okay, 2 5s, that's helpful. So I need to make one of those at 19. Okay. Let's go with you as 19.
I have B1, C2, D5, F11, G12, I6, J16, K9, M7, N13, O3, P14, Q8, R18, S4, T17, U19, V10, and W15.
Thank you.
Who's ready next?
I can volunteer.
Go ahead.
This is Tim Horgan for the record. Right, B7, C8, D9, skip E, F14, G11, skip H, I6, J18, K10, skip L, M as in Mary is 5, N 3, O 15, P 1, Q 2, R 12, S 4. I'm sorry, yeah, S is 4, T 17, U 13, V 16, and W 19.
I have B7, C8, D9, F14, G11, I6, J18, K10, M5, N3, O15, P1, Q2, R12, S4, T17, U13, V16, and W19.
Yes.
Marilyn Delmont, I'll go next.
Perfect, thank you.
B12, C15, D5, F11, G3, I2, J4, K1, M13, N14, O7, P16, Q8, R9, S10, T18, U19, V6, W17.
B12, C15, D5, F11, G3, I2, J4, K1, M13, N14, O7, P16, Q8, R9, S10, T18, U19, V6, and W17.
Correct.
If you're,
Go ahead, James.
okay, if you're ready, this is James Wood.
Go for it.
B13, C14, D17, F15, G4, I11, J16, K18, M5, N19, O8, P1, Q2, R6, S10, T12, U9, V7, and W3.
Have B13, C14, D17, F15, G4, I11, J16, K18, M5, N19, O8, P1, Q2, R6, S10, T12, U9, V7, W3.
Correct.
Perfect. Who's next?
I'm ready, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Dan Waters for the record. Bravo 3, Charlie 4, Delta 18, Foxtrot 17, Golf 5, India 10, Juliet 7, Kilo 8, Mike 9, November 14, Oscar 19, Papa 2, Quebec 1, Romeo 6, Sierra 16, Tango 11, Uniform 13, Victor 15, Whiskey 12.
I am not good at doing those phonetic letters. So B3, C4, D18, F17, G5, I10, J7, K8, M9, N14, O19, P2, Q1, R6, S16, T11, U13, V15, and W12.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thanks, General. Who's next?
You have to go next.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Alrighty. B6, C17, D5, F13, G2, I8, J11, K1, M7, N16, O4, P3, Q19, R14, S9, T12, U15, V10, W18.
I have B6, C17, D5, F13, G2, I8, J11, K1, M7, N16, O4, P3, Q19, R14, S9, T12, U15, V10, and W18.
Correct.
Okay, who do we have left?
We have Akeen and Vinny.
All right, go ahead, Akeen.
Akeem Patel for the record. I'm going with B15, C3, D12, F16, G4, I18, J13, K17, M14, N19, O10, P5, Q7, R6, S8, P2, U9, V1, and W11.
Akeen, could you repeat T as in Tom?
T as in Tom is 2.
I have B15, C3, D12, F16, G4, I18, J13, K17, M14, N19, P5, Q, T7, R6, S8, T2, U9, V1, and W11.
That's correct. Thank you.
Bob, you're up.
All right. Bravo 4, Charlie 5, Delta 15, Foxtrot 16, Golf 8, India 11, Juliet 10, Kilo 9, Mike 3, November 19, Oscar 6, Papa 2, Quebec 1, Romeo 7, Sierra 14, Tango 17, Uniform 18, Victor 12, and Whiskey 13.
I have B4, C5, D15, F16, G8, I11, J10, K9, M3, N19, O6, P2, Q1, R7, S14, T17, U18, V12, and W13.
That's it.
All right, I think I'm gonna get this right this time. All right, B13, C4, D19, F5, G8, I14, J11, K7, M12, N15, O18, P10, Q1, R9, S2, T16, U17, V3, W6.
B13, C4, D19, F5, G8, I14, J11, K7, M12, N15, O18, P10, Q1, R9, S2, T16, U17, V3, and W6.
Good here.
So this is, bear with me because this is confusing to me with all the different moving parts that we have here.
Zakim Patel, if I could make a suggestion.
Sure, yeah, please help because everybody's watching me and it's making me nervous.
It looks like everything except for the bottom two can be fully funded. If Washoe County School District is willing to accept the cut, we should be able to partially fund that one for the contingent email security system. I'm not sure what the thoughts are on that, but or if that one was able to be partially funded or not. But that would get everything except for like the Washoe County School District email security system partially funded. The Project Orion would not get funded.
Hey, sorry, this is Austin Smith from Washoe County School District. What was the question?
It looks
Also,
like,
oh, go ahead, Akeem.
go ahead.
It looks like because it's at the bottom of the list, if we could partially fund that, we'd be able to zero out the budget for the grant, but wanted to see if you would be able to implement something with fewer dollars.
How much would I be able to get, or how much would our entity be able to get?
I think Amanda's doing the math now.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna turn this over to Zach because I think he has a better handle on where we're at than I do right now. Zach, could you go ahead and share your screen at this point?
I cannot share my screen because I'm not in the Zoom land, but I can tell you that that would give Washoe County, by my estimation, $28,174.39 towards their project.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable.
So Zach, can you help me out here? What would that be reduced by?
So Amanda, take the bottom two projects. The sum of those minus the available, or sorry, the overage we had, wherever you had kept that number, that 1,221,575. And then that puts the red line just below Washoe County School District contingent. I'll try to load into the Zoom land real quick so everyone can see.
So take this out of here.
Change it's the final amount to that 28,000 rather than the reduction. And then you put the reduction at the million.
So Washoe County would get their ask minus what the total over pass-through is right now.
Does that look right to everybody?
Yes.
And then so let's see. Get our roll pass through. Okay. I think that looks good. I got a little stuck with the Excel, but if that looks good to the task force and Zach and everybody, then that's great.
I appreciate that, Amanda. And I just want to throw out there, is there any other projects that maybe would be willing to reduce some of their amount to be able to give Washoe County a little bit more on that one?
Yeah, this is City of Reno. Our switch replacement is scalable, and so let me do a little bit of math on just like a in and out.
Angela, while you're working through that, James, see your hands up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. James Wood. I would ask if the Clark County School District, they had mentioned in their presentation that their multi-factor for all employees was reducible. I would ask if they would be willing to reduce some of that to allow for Washoe County to also get some money for multi-factor.
Washoe County School District, is that okay to you guys? And if so,
We're just trying to figure out what that amount would be.
okay.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, we could do it, but what would that be? Hold on.
Sandy.
This is sorry, Angela Askey for City of Reno. So to start with, let's go with removing 22,675.
Which project? I'm sorry. Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't catch that. Which project are we taking that from?
That was the switch replacement, I believe.
Okay, and then take off
Yeah.
how much?
22,675.
And then put that back to Washoe County.
How much, this is Clark County, Maryland, Delmont, how much do you need to be reduced by?
So the Washoe County project, the total amount is about 250,000, and right now, it looks like we've got them up to about $51,000. So any amount that we could add to them, I think would be helpful. And then Sandy, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I was able to get 15 minutes to push my next meeting. If you need me for the vote, I don't know if there's a way that we could do the vote contingent on you guys figuring all this math out, but I really have to drop as soon as I can, to be honest. So it's kind of a procedural question.
Okay, Sam, is that something that we might be able to do?
So I think I'm sorry. Maryland, Delmont from Clark County, we can reduce it by 20,000.
Okay, I think that's helpful.
Hey, Tim, sorry, I had my mute off again, on again. Can we check where we are on quorum? Because my understanding was Sandy was the one extra on quorum. So if we have quorum without Sandy and everybody else can stay on, that might be an easier path forward.
Absolutely. Shireen, are you still in the room?
Yeah.
And Ian?
I'm gonna go ahead and call roll call again.
Okay,
Tim Robb,
here.
Bob Denmark,
Here.
Frank Abella, Dr. Marilyn Delmont,
Yes.
Paul Embley, David Fogerson, Sanford Graves, Tim Horgan,
Here.
Jeffrey Lewis, Martin Mueller, Akeem Patel,
Here.
Brandon Peterson,
Here.
General D. Roger Waters,
Here.
Sandy Rue Ballard,
Here.
Billy Samuels,
Present.
James Wood,
Here.
8, 9, 10. So that gives us 10. If Sandy leaves, that will give us 9, and that will still give us quorum.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think with that, Sam, we're good to go.
I think that makes a lot more sense than voting for something where we don't know the results. So if that works for everybody, let's go with that.
That works for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
Sorry.
No, we appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
So for the record, we're still on track. We're still where we need to be. If we're good with these adjustments, or if you want to make any more.
Are there any other adjustments from anybody that, after seeing these numbers?
Yes, sir. This is Patrick Lasme at Nye County Emergency Management. I was just looking at the totals on our request, and the 62,219.49, that does include the M request that you could delete out of there. It's only about $3,000, or yeah, almost $3,000, but I'm sure every penny helps.
Do you have that number handy there?
$2,963.
$2,963. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. We appreciate that. Akeem, I see your hands up.
Yeah, OCDC could give, we can give 28,800 from the SLTT resources program.
Sorry, Akeem, can you repeat that number?
You can drop us down to 200 even, so minus 28,800.
Thanks, Akeem. John, your hands up.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, we also had M&A costs built into our grant application for Carson City Fire Emergency Management Cyber. So it's $9,097.10 that can be removed. 9,097.10.
Really appreciate everybody pitching in to make everybody's projects work.
We're still where we need to be. We still have met our rural pass-through.
Fantastic. That's great news. Any final changes? Billy, I see your hand up.
Yes, this is Billy Samuels. Tim, just for clarification for this group, because some of them may not have done this before. Normally what we would do if it falls below the red line, any of those deobligated funds that come from this fiscal year where this grant is awarded, anything that if we deobligate any funds, it normally goes to that project below the red line and then the projects below that. So I want to, if that's a clarification that this group is also going to do as well.
I appreciate that. And I think that's a safe assumption with one project, I think is the only one below the line. So I think that's a safe assumption and hopefully we can spend the dollars, but if not, then Secretary of State's project will get additional funding. So thanks for the clarity, Bill. Okay, Amanda, are we good to go?
We are good. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. So I think with that, we can move to a vote to adopt the recommendations as ranked. We have a motion.
Bob Denhart, so move.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank
Brandon.
you. Thank you, Brandon. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you all very much for hanging in there. I know this is a long process, but I think it's about as fair of a process as possible. And I really appreciate the folks that gave some dollars to make things happen for the projects that were partially funded. So thank you all very much. I think with that, we can move into public comment. Agenda item number 9. No action may be taken under an item raised under this agenda item until it is officially made an agenda item itself. I will read the dial-in information 1-669-219-2599, and when prompted for a meeting ID 686-738-8625, then press pound. And once you have done that, please press *6 to unmute yourself if you would like to give public comment. Is there anybody in the room at DEM that would like to give public comment?
This is Shereen Whipple. For the record, there is no comment in Carson City.
I appreciate that, Shereen. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to make public comment? I see you coming off mute, Billy.
Hey, Tim, yeah, this is Billy Samuels. I want to thank you and your efforts on this, Nevada Division of Emergency Management and taking care of all the spreadsheet side and the AG's office. They don't benefit anything out of this, but we do appreciate their support. So thank you for all those parties that really have no benefit, but they're here to support.
Thank you, Billy. I'd like to echo that too. I think everybody involved appreciate all the time you guys have put into this. I know these are long meetings and hard, but there's a lot of work that goes into it even before this. So appreciate everybody's effort on getting this to happen. Anybody else? Public comment on Zoom? Anybody on the phone? *6 to unmute yourself. Not seeing anybody come up. I think we are good for agenda item number 10, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thanks, Billy. Second from anybody?
Second.
Perfect, Bob. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Awesome. Thank you all for your efforts today. We'll look forward to the next meeting of the Cybersecurity Task Force. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.